Would you say that that's a big misconception when it comes to parole and probation, that you're just there to arrest them?
That's a big misconception. Part of our job is it's a twofold hat that we wear. We have to know the background of individuals to get them to know why they do what they do, and not look at them from the surface picture, but what's behind their story.
Like the day I got arrested? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So basically I was addicted to methamphetamines, and I had got kicked out of my dad's house, and I was off on my own doing what I had to do to support, keep a roof over my head and to support my addiction, and I got busted.
My first case was for felony drug DUI case, and then the other case was a attempted grand auto larceny case, and I was strung out on drugs with both cases.
And then there's also the law enforcement aspect, which we have to also protect the public and protect them from themselves also. So law enforcement aspect is what gets portrayed around the country of we're not here to help people, we're filling our jails up with people. A lot of our people on probation and in the parole system on both sides, there's a history of drug abuse on the backside. And so it gives the impression we're just filling jails up with drug users, and all we're doing is padding a top number without really going to the root of the evil.
Well, I was addicted at a very young age, about 8 years old. I didn't realize that I was because of the guardian who was taking care of me. She used to give me alcohol and sleeping pills to go to sleep so she could do what she wanted to do. And so, but the first substance I've ever tried willingly was alcohol.
Looking back on it, what do you think pushed you to do those drugs?
Trying to fit in with my mom, because that was the only way.
So my parents split up when I was 11 years old. I remember hanging out with guys, hanging out with girls, running the streets at 11, and I first smoked marijuana when I was 11.
Was it like just an escape to get away from home drama?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I never wanted to be home.
So there's misconceptions we're out to get people. We are there to hook and book, and we get stats for arrests. But in the end, we give the tools to people and the follow-up, and if they don't make those tools successful for them, they make their own decision ultimately. So I always say, if you end up in jail, it's not because of something we did, it's because of something you did.
Some people get rescued and some people get arrested, and I got rescued. I really got rescued from getting arrested.
I knew I needed help, and unfortunately I had to get arrested on my first probation visit. I met with Officer Triplett. She asked me if I was going to have a clean UA, and I said no, and the tears just came coming. And that day she told me that I was going to be arrested and sent to a treatment facility. That day, I remember, was the last day that I stuck a needle in my arm. I waited in bed, incarcerated for 5 months before I got to West Care.
It's very common in the rehab places because most of them are forced to be there through a court program. They may want to at first because they don't want to go to prison or spend time in jail, because jail time is easy time. Coming to grips and becoming a better person in a program is much more difficult. When people go into programs, they're still caught on their own aspect of, I'm trying to beat the system, I'm trying to do it my way because that's all I know.
That day that I was meeting with Officer Triplett, man, I was so mad. I hated her, I was like, why are you doing this to me?
When I first got there, I had called a buddy of mine to come pick me up because I wasn't going to stay. The very next day, Officer Sweeten comes and pays me a visit. He's like, it's either this or prison. And I was like, okay. So that, again, that whole problem with authority, I was like, I'll stay here, but I'm not doing anything. So I stayed in my room. I also had some paraphernalia on me that I had snuck into Shannon West just in case. I only did what the bare minimum, went to groups, came down to eat, did my chores, and then I was right back up in the room and just contemplating if I was going to use or not.
But I knew I had a problem, and I was willing to do whatever I could. However, I didn't know that there was help. Like, I thought that I was going to be a junkie forever.
There's a lot of good people who made a mistake due to a drug addiction or a faulty relationship or something that through their upbringing seemed normal to them.
Well, it was, so I was living with an ex-boyfriend in a apartment complex where the toilet didn't even work, and the toilet was overflowing, obviously, and Officer Sweeten, Officer Lindquist, and 2 other officers came to my door, not only looking for me, but looking for my mom and looking for my ex-boyfriend at the time. And just like, how can you live like this? You know, that's what the female officer was talking to me about.
I was in a very toxic relationship. This person introduced me to IV drug usage, and basically I was always trying to beat the system before I surrendered, you know, this crazy criminal mind I had.
They come from situations where they don't know themselves how to deal with people giving them positive feedback and positive directions.
But then when they came to my doorstep, the female officer like actually took the time to listen to me, which was beyond me, because I would never talk to a female about anything because of the relationship with my mom, you know.
When I finally was able to surrender my life, I was able to take the direction of those who were trying to help me.
Knowing that she wanted the help, and as she got around to diving into getting help, diving into the program more and making that decision, I'm either going to play the system or I'm going to be successful. When she made that decision to be successful is when the program really started to work for her at that time.
Well, I knew that I wanted to be sober. I knew that I wanted to get my child back. I knew that I was done living the way I was living, and I knew that I had to get rid of all toxic people, places, and things in my life to grow from all the things that I thought I knew that I thought were good. But I never knew nothing good until I got arrested, until I went through treatment, until I graduated drug court. Then I finally knew my worth.
My substance abuse counselor was like, you can sit here and be closed off if that's what you want to do, but it's not going to make it any easier. And so she's like, I'll keep you here until your probation is up. And I was like, nope. And she was also being real with me too about who she was, and that was comforting to know that I was talking to somebody who had an idea of what I was going through, you know? And so opening up to her was, it was healing for me, you know? And so it was like 2 months after I had spoken with her on a consistent basis that I took what I had in my suitcase and I flushed it down the toilet.
Well, I think our success stories that come out of these programs is that people can change. They can be a successful working individual. They can share their story of people who are on probation at the time or people that haven't quite got there, and then maybe the light bulb moment like, whoa, I'm that person right now. If she changed, I can change before I go to jail.
For them to come and visit me, you know, even with handcuffs, like I had to really think about where I was and where I wanted to be and where I came from. That moment changed everything for me. Them being able to really look for what was happening behind the scenes of what was in front of me, that's what helped me the most.
Yeah, it shocked me to see that an officer would care about somebody, you know? I mean, he was persistent. And so he's like, there's a job fair here and you can do this and you can do that. And the people, my substance abuse counselor was like, you can go back to school. I didn't understand it because not Like, not even my mom could do this, you know? And my dad rightfully put a distance between us, and not even my dad is here helping me. Like, who are you to help me? You don't even know me except for the ugly about me. That's all you know. So it was cool.
Yeah.
Women's West Care does a really good program, actually the full West Care program. They do a graduation every summer, and I was fortunate enough to attend one. That one day, those graduates of the program walked across that stage. Everybody was happy for them. The entire community of counselors, alumni, everybody came together to celebrate them, to show their support available for them.
So I graduated West Care in 2014. Life is amazing now. I actually work for West Care, Women and Children's Campus. I'm a behavioral health technician. I share my story. A lot of the women there are going through CPS cases or you know, whatever their case may be. I find that the best thing that I could do is share my story. So it's very humbling to be on the other side and be right there with them, walking where I once walked.
The day Officer Sweeten called me, and I was in California, and he's like, you successfully completed probation. I was like, get out. I mean, it sucked. It was my first offense, and I was spending 5.5 months in jail. Couldn't get an OR, couldn't get anything. I was like, what the heck, man? What did I do to deserve this, you know? But I will never change it for anything, ever. I work with the organization that saved my life. You know what I mean? It's like it can't get any better than this, doing homeless outreach and just trying to touch people and reach them and say, look, listen, I've been through it before. You can do it too.
We're working with these programs down in Southern Nevada and our Reno counterparts. We're working with these programs, keeping people the tool, giving people the tools to be successful and not return to that lifestyle. And when they return to that lifestyle, what people don't understand is drugs are not victimless crime. They affect everybody. And the lifestyle they create is a drug lifestyle, which then leads to homelessness, which then leads to burglaries, which then leads to theft crimes, which then leads them right back in that revolving door. When just a little bit of a program or a little bit of a, hey, you're doing a great job, keep that up. That little bit of touch, that little bit of, hey, I believe in you, from anybody, a parent, a PO, a coordinator at some program, might change that direction in their life.
If I would have went to prison, I probably would have went right back to the streets and used, because I had relinquished my rights to my daughter for an open adoption. My brother had just passed away, so I would have probably went right back to the streets, to be honest, with no hope.
We always talk about getting burned a lot, you know. Give all these resources to somebody and then they don't take advantage of it. At the end of the day, if we can help one person, just one, the job is rewarding.
My daughter, she wants to be with me now. She wants to know me. She's actually adopted, so I have this amazing relationship with her adopted mom. We actually just, she invited me into her home to remodel her room, which is like crazy, because I would have never thought in a million years that I would be invited to her school or her home at that.
I got my brother connected to the Las Vegas Rescue Mission, and I just helped my brother move into his apartment today. And he's moving, he's got a year clean, he's moving in his apartment today, and I don't think it gets any better than that. Mom has 6 months clean. We talk every day, and we're growing a little bit closer. I mean, in my 25 years of life, I never heard my mom apologize, and I just heard her apologize to me about a month ago for what she did, and it was like, it was an apology in her own way, but I knew it, and I was like, I've been waiting 25 years for this. Hallelujah.
I see myself being a clinical chaplain, because I found my higher power, God. He got me through this. And maybe even being a counselor, or definitely helping women.
I want to have a nonprofit for single fathers with children, because that was my dad. My dad was struggled as a single father. And then eventually I want to grow and have like my own apartment complex where I could house fathers with children, families, the elderly.
Don't let your past define who you are today. Because if I let my past define who I was today, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I'm so excited to look towards the future, but also live in the present, but never forget the past.
And if you could go back and tell your 8-year-old self, hey.
Oh, this makes me emotional. If I could go back to when I was 8, I probably would have never let myself go to my mom's house, you know?
And today you realize that you weren't in control of those decisions.
Yeah, but, you know, the little girl's still scared.
There's going to be a little girl that watches your success story, and you're going to change her life.
That's one of my main goals in life, is to just try to help people, you know? And when I see that, you know, tell that 8-year-old little girl that, you know, it's not going to be like this forever, and Mom is going to get better.
That's good. Thank you.
Programs work and gives them the ability to be successful. We have to support people once they're out of the criminal justice system. There's very successful PROs, the very successful offenders, and people who are doing the right thing. And hopefully that's what we're going to. That's the direction we're trying to get to, that jail isn't our main option.